There's little moments that they got wrong. I think the reality for both of these clubs, though, is they both want to go higher up in the Premier League. They both want to win more trophies. Tottenham, obviously, we know the story with them not winning enough trophies. You're not going to win football trophies. You're not going to go up the Premier League. You're not going to play Champions League football playing this type of football. That was my takeaway of the day. Tottenham, at the end of the day, shot themselves in the foot so many times. Not good enough. Man United pretty much did nothing.
Was it the best of
Pretty much did nothing for 60, 70 minutes until it was given to them, and then they sort of walked up and started to play.
The changes, the three changes that came on.
As soon as Man United took Antony off, everybody else started running.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to cut ties with him. Don't want to make him the scapegoat, but honestly, watching him, it's so frustrating. This is your big moment.
You play with a man down.
Yeah, and he doesn't run, he doesn't sprint, he doesn't have any value. Just get him out. Get him rid of Marcus Rashford, just put him on the set. Whoever's taking him will pay you to take him as well. Get him out of the club.
Then Ahmad came on, and you could tell even the chances that he had early on, Troy, not only was he creating chances, taking chances, but he was getting the crowd going, wasn't he? Which then kind of played a big factor because, as we know, the other goalkeeper, Forster, was not having the best of games.
That was an understatement. He looked like me and him playing in goal.
How about the kick scene?
He's just kicking the ball away. He's trying to play. He's playing with the wrong foot. Honestly, I get frustrated with goalkeepers anyway, but when you're a man like Fraser Forster, who's been around for a long time, he's experienced, just take a touch, put it in the stand. If the manager shouts to you, say, no problem, my problem. All they're going to say is pass next time. Don't give a goal away. Don't get the crowd up. Don't make it so everyone else is nervous. Really disappointed in his performance today. At
3-0, I was sitting there and saying, what's the idea here? Well, what is the idea here? I understand you have an identity. I understand you have a way to play football. This is the goal, the giveaway. Is the first one or the second one?
First one, yeah.
This is the first one for Xerxes, and I mean, it's as juvenile as it can, considering the situation of the game. This one, Foster is just out to lunch here. He doesn't know what's going on. I mean, he's looking up. He's so slow. He's so out of it, like most goalkeepers are to begin with. But so slow his reaction. He had plenty of time to get rid of it. I think, though, okay, we can look at the foul and the mistakes from the goalkeepers. But for me, and we get that. Maybe we'll talk to Ange. I don't know. But for me, the question is that when you're winning 3-0 at home in a cup game, you need a trophy. You've done a great job up to that point. You pressed. You got everything out of the game that you wanted. There has to be a different game plan. You have to make some tweak. I understand you want to play high press and rock and roll football, and you want to go for it, and this is who you are. I understand all that. But there's more. And I'm not saying not to press the football. You can still press the football. But I'm saying there's times, put your foot on the ball and let them come out and say, hey, we're winning 3-0. You come and get the football from us now. And be a little smarter.
If they had lost this game and lost a 3-goal deficit and had Manchester United come back and scored 4 or however many, would that have cost Ange his job? Do you think, was it that drastic?
It wouldn't have, but it should have, because they were so in control. 60 minutes, 3-0.
Man United did nothing.
Man United had nothing. They had nothing. They had to bring on 3 subs. They probably didn't even want to bring those guys on, let's totally be honest. And they're in a situation where they was inviting pressure. Going to your goalie should be go to your goalie to come out the other side and play. So if you could pass it to him on the right-hand side, he takes a touch with his right foot, plays it out of his left foot, and you just keep making that team run. They didn't do that. They took 5, 6, 7 touches, kept trying to score, kept trying to play with a high line, and just inviting pressure. When there was no pressure on the ball for Man United, Tottenham defenders were running forward. That is you get learned that at 4 or 5 years old. No pressure on the ball, start, back off, give them space. They do everything backwards. Like you said earlier, perfect analogy. If you can go up in a lift or you can go on the stairs, they'll go, we'll take the stairs.
Not heard that one before. Normally you repeat your analogies. That's a new one.
No, they're always new. They're always new, Poppy. And I'll say this, too, for Man United. Amorim in charge of 8 games now, and he's conceded so many goals. He's kept 1 clean sheet in 8 games. I understand you're trying to find out your way of football and you're starting 11, but how can you concede so many goals every single game?
You're building a house and you're putting the roof first?
Exactly. When you build a house, you start from the foundation, the basement. They're building the house from the roof down. You can't. It's impossible. Defensively, both teams very, very shaky.
Yeah. For more on this, let's welcome in our friend, our rules expert, Christina Uncle, to join us. Christina, we had you on yesterday. Obviously, there's no VAR, so any decision that is given is final on the pitch. Was it the right decision to give this goal?
Okay, so I'm not going to lose you guys here. do we want this decision as foul on the pitch? The answer is yes from the referee. If there had been VAR, that's where we can get into discussion as whether or not it's a clear enough and obvious error to recommend that down for VAR. But from on the pitch, take a look specifically, right? So yes, it's that left contact that's being made. But what I was looking for and what we do when we break down the plays and how a referee may or may not have seen this is where was the referee's position and where the referee is looking through this mass amount of players that are coming through. He may not have the best vision to fully appreciate the amount of contact that happened. I know that may seem like it, but at the end of the day, we don't want that as a foul. So we want the foul called, but when it comes to VAR, this would be something that we would say we are over-refereeing in this situation, because at the point of contact, the ball is basically on the goal line, and does it fully and materially and significantly impact? The overall recommendation is if there was VAR, it would not be recommended down. If it was called on the field, that would be more preference because there would be less chatter about whether or not this truly did materially and significantly impact the goal.
Just to be clear, so you're saying this is a foul, right?
Yeah, this is what we would consider a simple foul, but does it rise to the level of a clear and obvious error? The answer is no.
Okay, so then my question is, in this, I think we had this discussion like a few months ago, but my question then is, let's say there was VAR, right? And let's say the referee is in a bad angle, seeing through all the bodies, like you say, and he doesn't see the foul, right? But he knows something's up. Wouldn't it make sense for him to call a foul if there was VAR, call the foul so that then they can go take a look?
Good question. The answer is no when we have VAR right here, because there's a communication going on. Every goal check, given or not given, right? Any potential foul leading towards a goal in the APP, always checked. So here, if the referee was to allow this to play as a VAR, my first thing is confirming that the decision on the field is goal. He would say yes. We'd say, did you say a view of, the impact on the goalkeeper on the left arm? And if he said, yes, I saw it and it's not enough for me, we would consider that a check complete, right? Because like I said, it's not clear and obvious error. If he says, I did not see any contact whatsoever, it's going to come down to now whether or not we find this as a missed incident to recommend the referee to look over. So to your point, it all comes down to whether or not the referee saw it and determined that that was enough for him or not. If the answer for him is it's not, and he said he fully clearly saw that there was contact on the left arm, because right when that contact happens, it happens about 2-3 frames per second before the ball's in the back of the net. That's where we're going to call it over-refereeing. If the referee had seen it, we'd leave it alone. If the referee said he had not seen it, then that leans more towards recommending it down.
Uncle, the problem with what you're saying is, I understand what you're saying. That's the procedure, right? And that's the way you do it. If he doesn't think it's a foul, he shouldn't call it a foul. But the problem with what you're saying is that then in both instances, even the last one we spoke about, but this one especially, then the wrong call is being made ultimately. And if we did it the other way, the right call would be made. If they just said, okay, I'm not 100% sure, it looks like there was something, players are complaining, call it a foul, and then we get to look at it, and then we get to see. That sounds to me like a more fair system, right?
Yes and no, respectfully, because the American system here in college does that in that respect, because they don't have video assistant referee, they have video review, right? So the way that historically in the past this year was different was that you called it and then that opened up the opportunity to review whether or not you got it right or wrong. Now, when VAR came out and the protocols came out, and those within the IFAB and kind of those who made the recommendations, professional players, coaches, they accept that there's going to be a margin of error, right? What we're really trying to prevent is those clear and obvious errors, and that's why without slowing down the game, all of these are still materially checked. There will be errors in the game, even with VAR. What we're trying to protect is those hands of God. And here, I bet you if you put this clip up, there will be debate as to, even in that impact on the left arm, was the ball already going into the back of the net? And that's what makes it not a clear and obvious error.
Really interesting stuff, Christina. It does feel kind of bizarre that we're not seeing VAR at this point in the competition, but in the next round, now we'll see it. How soon do you think we'll get to a point where VAR will always play a factor of these high-profile matches?
It always comes down to finances and the cost to include VAR from the technology provider side of it, and then also including the VAR, the assistant VAR, and the second one. So it all comes down to finances. I always say in European football, when it's big names, team names that are affected, there's a little bit more chatter in the background, and that's how the technology gets implemented quicker than others. But with the implementation of also a lighter version of VAR that can allow for maybe some less camera angles that we had talked about in a morning footy session, that might allow for some VAR to be earlier on in the rounds until you get the full-fledged system, as we were going to see in the next round.
Now, Uncle, just a quick one from me. I think in these situations, why are we not talking about the linesman? Linesman has a clear look straight through, should be helping the referee, especially in a game where there's no VAR. Why does the linesman never really get spoke about? Because that person's view wasn't tainted at any point.
Oh, I love that question, because that then comes down to the communication and kind of the area of priority, right? So great point on that one. The further that the contact and the play is away from an assistant referee, the more we say that's a referee's decision on it. Not saying that the assistant referee isn't giving any communication, right? They have the comm system, so they can verbalize that, right? If the assistant referee says, I see contact on the left arm, and gives that verbal to the referee, and the referee says, not enough for me, then we're not asking the assistant referee to raise their flag and insist on that play. Right? It's only if the referee was going to say, hey, I saw it, or I didn't see it whatsoever, what do you have? And then the assistant referee says, I know for a fact that this is a foul. That's where we have that more of that communication from the assistant referee. A lot of this, because of how far it is away from the assistant referee, happens via verbal instead of the outside gestures and the flag raised and all of that stuff, because we have that other technology to communicate that.